the film is still on this monitor, on this,
I
on
think
this
it's
TV.
time. It's time.
I think I've accepted that there will be some fringe in my life, and I need to pull the Band-Aid off, rip the Band-Aid off, as it were, and get on with this.
I think switch your operating system whilst you're at it.
I gotta, yeah. I blame Fortnite.
That's fair. Those things are getting better in Linux, though. I'm just saying. It'll happen.
Are. I am pretty excited for the day that I can patch FreeType.
So hear me out. That might actually happen faster than Windows fixes the fonts.
You're probably not wrong, because I think Windows is going to drag their feet for years. But even if they don't, I think the Steam Deck and Steam Machine is going to force Fortnite Epic's hand. I don't know, though.
I don't know.
Sweeney,
I feel like it's getting closer all the time.
Well, let me put it to you this way. Easy Anti-Cheat does indeed work on Linux.
Yeah, they're getting it.
As in, like, there are games with Easy Anti-Cheat that do work on Linux without compromise.
100%.
Yet, that's what Fortnite uses, and Fortnite is incompatible because it's like the user agent string thing, right? Like, oh, you're on Linux, then no.
Coming up in this episode, I am Speed. Ka-chow. How old are you? And the call is coming from inside the RAM. Hello and welcome to Linux User Space. I'm Dan.
And I'm Leo.
Hey Leo, so you've been testing your speed?
I have been, and I have a bone to pick with what is it, speedtest.net and fast.com, because they're lying to you. They've been lying to you, and I don't know if you know it. So I'm here to tell you, there's another option, and really it's because it's open source, and you can go.
That's always a good option.
Yeah, you can go crank up a cloud VM, or what do we call it, VPS of some kind.
Yep.
And stand this up and do your own speed tests between you and whatever your provider is. So it's really, really cool. You can even set this up at home and then open up a port, which, temporarily, and then see how fast you can get to your friend's house. Now that, I think, is really cool. But to the previous point, before we get on to LibreSpeed, the previous point is because I think speedtest.net and fast.com do this thing where they have agreements with ISPs around the country. If you're in the U.S., I suspect, unless there's a law against it, they do this everywhere. But they have agreements with ISPs that when those IP addresses or those resources are accessed, the ISP will open up the floodgates to make sure that when you're speed testing, oh yes, you're getting your full gig. Oh, don't worry about that. Yeah, you're getting what you pay for, I promise. And Netflix has a really, really high reason to do this because, they want you to go to Netflix, right? Fast.com, by the way, is owned by Netflix, run by Netflix.
Yeah.
And what's really funny about Netflix is that not only do they do that kind of jazz, they also have local, you can kind of consider them like proxies.
Yeah, they're like caching servers.
Yeah, there you go. So caching servers at like the actual local ISP area.
Yeah, or at least like a consolidation point for, several ISPs, a POP or something. They'll install those caching servers.
Yeah.
And so that is where your test is going to, I suppose, which is helpful for the Netflix thing, but it may not be indicative of all of your internet traffic.
Yeah. And what's funny about that is that it wouldn't even be indicative of all of Netflix as a whole. Because
no, probably not.
The only thing that lives on those caching servers are the popular shows.
The popular stuff, yeah.
If you do the thing on Netflix where, I don't know why I do this, but you do the thing on Netflix where you're like scrolling and scrolling and you find that you're scrolling for 15 minutes. Once you get down to like the gutter of Netflix where you're still trying to pick a show.
That people don't really watch, yeah.
Yeah. So you click on one, that one's not going to be cached. 8 people over the past 6 months have watched that documentary. So, you know.
And that was just to curb their insomnia. So it really wasn't like they wanted to watch it or anything.
Yeah, exactly, right? Yeah, I'm trying to fall asleep, okay? Jungle sounds perfect. Let's go. Let's absolutely do that. So, yeah, I mean, these speed tests are not all they're cracked up to be because there are little things that the speed test or the ISP does to kind of give you false hope, give you this sense that you're getting more than you pay for. But even on some of these ISPs or some of these speed tests, one of the things that you can do to give you a more down-to-earth number is stop it from auto-selecting a geographically close server. Do not let it do that because that is not indicative of real web traffic. That is not how the internet works, right? Like, I mean, if you're where I'm at,
that's you to your closest hop, probably.
Right. Yeah. There's a whole heck of a lot of data center stuff in Dallas and Austin. So, I mean, sure, if I'm peered up with them, things are great. But the moment I have to go out to Washington or Chicago or New York, things start to get a little more dicey. So on your speed test, that's a pretty decent suggestion. Your ISP might still prioritize that data, but you're geographically separate. So those little electrical impulses or the light pulses still have to travel further and be processed by more routers in between, and would give you a slightly better view of how fast your connection actually is. Now, for extra bonus
points... Well, lets you know what your
points,
ISP is peering with and how good their connections are, too.
Exactly. And so for extra bonus points, choose a server outside of your country and see what kind of speeds you get at that point. Now, that one's just for fun. I mean, I think most people, at least in the U.S., end up getting your data somewhere from within the U.S. So, you know, doing that is more just really truly is bonus points or whatever. But that is just to kind of see. Because sometimes I'll go to a website and I'll download a Linux ISO, the real one, the actual Linux ISO.
Yeah, not one of the watchable ones.
Yeah, exactly, right. And I will get some pretty abysmal speeds.
Yeah.
And it turns out if I cancel and start the download again, oh, wait a minute, all of a sudden the speeds are better. And it turns out, yeah, I swapped from the server in Amsterdam to the server in Oregon. And that was probably the best choice I made all day because that brought down my 10-minute, 15-minute wait time to 38 seconds. Yeah. But there's a little bit more that goes into some of that stuff. And I figured since we're already on the topic, for those of you that may not know what some of the words mean on these little speed testy things, right? So assuming the data is correct, and with LibreSpeed, the thing that I stumbled upon the other day, which is an open source speed test thing, exactly like speedtest.net, exactly like fast.com, presumably without the peering agreements or essentially quality of service that you get prioritized to these types of servers or whatever. LibreSpeed's not on that list. They don't go around making deals, so none of this stuff actually happens with something like this. You see a few different numbers on this thing, and they actually might mean more to you than the download and upload speeds that those two main tests really want you to be focusing on. But yeah, it turns out if you've got 100 megabits download, you're fantastic. You can do anything you want to on the internet. Speed is not ever going to be an issue for you. Sure, you might need to wait a little extra for your Linux ISO to download. But I mean, yeah, you're gonna be just fine. Upload, on the other hand, I mean, if you're uploading a ton of images or whatever, that really is the number that you need to pay attention to.
That's the painful one for me. And as we've experienced, because like we share some pretty sizable files on a regular, and we're using Sync Thing or whatever, so that probably has some weight on it. But just because my upload speeds are absolutely abysmal, I usually start my download or my upload to you for my video files and stuff, and then I walk away because it's just I'm not sitting there watching that. I'm not doing anything while that's going on. It takes a while, 30 minutes probably at least for my video.
That progress bar looks like an episode of Stranger Things. Takes about an hour to get all the way across.
Yep. Yeah, no, so I get it started and then I go do something else and come back and make sure it happened.
Definitely.
Because I'm getting almost 500 megabits down, but I'm only, 10 or 11 up. And you can tell it's a cap because it's bouncing off the needle, off the pin. And so
my favorite is when it peaks out
plateaus.
and then and you see it just kind of like get bumped down like on purpose, and it's like, wait a minute, that's not right.
Someone is messing with me. Yep.
Yeah.
So, and you get what you pay for, I guess.
Yeah, you definitely do. So the two things that you'll see a whole heck of a lot on a lot of these speed tests, specifically on LibreSpeed, you'll see two different numbers besides your download and your upload speed, which are good metrics, but they're not going to tell you the whole story. So those other two numbers are ping and jitter. Ping is kind of a misnomer. It's not actually ping. What there's a story to this, I guess. So ping is really interesting because it was, ICMP, right? The early protocol that allowed you to send a packet to the far side, and the far side would send it back. And at the end of that, it would give you the latency, the amount of time it took to get from here to there and back. That is latency. And that's what it means by ping. Right? So you're pinging something, how long it takes you to figure out that they ponged you back.
That's
right.
Yeah, that's your round trip time.
That's the idea, right? And so I think better known as latency, but you'll see it as either. I think early games like Counter-Strike and things like that. So as the internet was
games.
Yeah, as people were really trying to, gather around the campfire and do a lot of internet gaming and things like that, the word ping was thrown around a whole heck of a lot. Because of that, right? Like, what's your ping? Is your ping high? Is your ping low? Why are you, rubber banding? Why are you bouncing around on the screen? Oh, my ping is bad. That word really kind of stuck for that type of traffic. So anyway, ping or latency, it doesn't matter. It's your round trip. That is what that is, right? Now, jitter is kind of like ping, but I think even more important than ping.
Yeah, I think so too.
It's essentially the average between the fastest pings and the slowest pings, and it gives you kind of a general sense of how wide those actually are. And the wider they are, the worse your experience is going to be, right? This is the kind of thing. So more
especially
than
when
your download,
watching the streaming stuff. Yeah, that's where you're really going to notice.
Exactly. So more than your download, more than your upload, more than your raw latency, the jitter is the thing that's going to end up putting you in that situation where it's like, oh, why is it buffering? Why is it doing this? Yeah. So when you see, numbers wider than 100 milliseconds in this jitter category, you're probably going to see something happen sooner rather than later. And the higher that number gets, the higher the chance gets, and the more annoying it is when it happens, because it's going to happen more and more often.
Yeah, I mean, things try to buffer to overcome that, and then that just adds delay. So if you're watching something live, you can get, up to a minute or two even on some things, before it really happens in your screen. from where it happened on the other end. So
exactly,
that can be a little annoying. Yeah.
It absolutely is. This is one of those things that, like, so we're starting to see really kind of the rise of streaming on the internet, right? So before we used to buy a set-top box and everybody got the same thing at the same time. So if you're on the phone with your friend and you're talking about the fight or the game, you see what he sees at the same exact time. With this, though, when you introduce things like jitter, and Dan, as you said, to compensate for jitter, you buffer. So essentially your video is, 30 seconds, 40, 50 seconds behind so that you don't run into, the wheel of death. Oh, no, now I'm waiting for the next few packets. I'm waiting for the next bit of video or whatever.
Right.
So you're behind. And so if you're on the phone with your friend these days, or I guess like Discord or Mumble or something, right? If you're on voice with your friends these days watching the same fight or the same game, your friend is going to go, "Oh my God, did you see that?" And you're like, "What? What happened?" And then 28 seconds later, you're like, "Oh my God."
Yeah. And I'll tell you one that you really notice it because it's not that far in the past here for us is New Year's. You're watching the New Year's party and the balls dropping. I mean, it already happened pretty much by the time you watch it. So just keep that in mind. I mean, you can live with it, but yeah.
You want to like refresh the streaming page but like 10 seconds in. Yeah. That way you can get as close as you possibly can. But if the streaming service itself is already struggling, then it may not help at all. So
Yep. So that's a great event where you really will notice it because it's like happens at the time, and it's not great.
Exactly. So, I mean, all of that conversation, it's something that I really love to do, is just to get down and technical and talk about the technical bits and I don't know, I feel like an explainer at heart. So if you didn't know that stuff, I hope you learned something. But the real reason that I brought it up is because LibreSpeed seems like such a cool project.
It is cool.
I mean, it is a self-hosted speed test that you can have and use wherever you want. You can even do it locally.
Yeah.
Is your
on
switch
your network? I actually did this at work. I spun one of these things up. I think it was the precursor to LibreSpeed, but same thing, right? So want to be able to test the campus network. Thousands of machines are connected, and sometimes somebody else, in an office in another building way over there will say, "Oh, the network is really slow," and you're like, "Well, I don't know. Go."
Well, how slow is it?
Go to this URL and tell me what you get. And they're like, "Oh, well, and I'm like, "Yeah, well, the network's fine. The thing you might be using, that might be having an issue for sure. But
it's your Netflix, sir. Maybe go to Hulu."
Yeah, maybe stop all of the downloads that you got going on while you're trying to do this other thing, perchance. But yeah, so
that's right.
It is handy for doing some of that type of troubleshooting around your own little small networks, even just to see, like, is my desktop, or how good is my Wi-Fi? Because that's a good one to test your latency and whatnot. That'll get real high. So
yep.
Just to test some of the local things, it's pretty great. So, I think it's worth a shout.
It definitely is, and Wi-Fi is one of the things that I actually spend a whole lot of time testing, because, as you said, someone in the deep dark recesses of your network is saying, "Oh, the internet's slow." That question or that statement comes up a lot around the house, right?
Does.
And is it TikTok or is it me, right? And this is a really good way to say, "Oh, look, it's not me. It's not us. Maybe, maybe reboot your thing and try again." But that is one thing, the magic computer screaming, aka Wi-Fi. That is the one thing that you're actually going to see a whole lot of, right? If you're wired, you're going to have lower latencies or pings, and typically lower jitter as well. But with Wi-Fi, you're going to at least see the latency go up, if not the jitter as well. Yeah, it definitely will. And, modern days, everything is Wi-Fi, unless you're a nerd like me and run cables all over the house, right?
I got some of both, right? I mean, there's some devices that don't really plug in, right? My game console, my Steam Deck, that's not plugged in unless I put it in the dock. But if I have it in my hand, on my lap, in my easy chair, it's not plugged in. And oftentimes my laptop, that's not plugged in either.
Yeah, and I absolutely knew you were going to say that your dock was physically connected. I knew it.
Well, of course.
How else do you download 8 games at a time,
Yeah,
the Wi-Fi just ain't going to cut it.
Right.
And if you like seeing our faces plastered all over the internet, here, there, and everywhere, you can check us out on YouTube. If you're on the audio version of this podcast, turns out, we'll ka-chow you from across the internet, but you can't see it unless you go to YouTube or go over to Tilvids, where we take these single segments and post them over there as well to make sure that they get their due. We're doing our due diligence, right? We're making sure that these videos are available to you on, the corporate
whatever
sites,
platform,
but also, but also on the peer-to type websites for folks that abstain from the corporate type stuff. So wherever you go to get this show, hit the little thumbs up button while you're there. I'd appreciate it. The show would appreciate it. At least the corporate algorithm would also appreciate it. And if it turns out that you want to do a little more, then click the thumbs up button. You say to yourself, man, if I could hit the thumbs up button twice, I would. Well, you kind of can. You can give us a second thumbs up over at patreon.com/Linux Userspace. Matter of fact, you can do it for free. You can sign up for free, and then you can hit the heart button on the posts that we post over there. But you can also climb up that ladder and get a few more things too, right? We don't just ask for your money; we give you more stuff in return. So
we got perks.
Absolutely. So for $1, you get the show notes that we're looking at right here, right now. So you know what we're going to talk about here in just a minute. You also get the show earlier than absolutely everybody else. We post that in the Discord. I mean, it's not an RSS feed. I know that. And it doesn't have all of the cool images and information that Dan shoves into the metadata of those files, but you still get the show before absolutely anybody else. You also, if you're on Patreon free or $1 tier, or actually any of the tiers, you get the show 3 hours before everybody else. The $3 tier gets you the high quality episode. The $5 tier gets you behind the scenes. So the hour and a half that we chatted before we gave you this show, you get that as well. And then the $10 tier, you can be in here while we record that hour and a half and distract us like Dave and Bruno obviously do all the time.
Just chat away.
It took an hour and a half. Yeah. It took an hour and a half to get in here. I blame them.
Wow, I can't believe we went for an hour and a half, but okay.
It was a bit. It was an hour.
It probably
at least,
was.
We'll say
it probably was. Yeah.
Yep. But you also get the recording of all of this with the video and everything else. So if you weren't here, or if you had to leave a little early, you can still come back and see all the stuff that we talked about before the show. So this stuff doesn't really get released to the public. This stuff is just for y'all. So if you decide to hit the thumbs up button twice, or 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 or 10 times, you can come do that at patreon.com/Linux Userspace.
All right, Leo. This next topic is a bit, I don't know. It's kind of, it's got some, it snowballed into an avalanche real quick.
Well, this is coming off of our conversation from
two episodes now in a row that we've talked about that. With the Discord doing the age verification, that was going to happen like right about now. And then they're like, nah, we're just kidding. We're going to kick the can a little bit. We don't quite have that refined well enough. That'll be coming sometime later. Yeah, I know. And so now we're seeing legislation and stuff happen where thing, operating systems are starting to look at this age verification. I use that term lightly because it's really not. Are really starting to. It's just mushroom cloud all of a sudden here into everywhere.
I'm surprised that Connecticut hasn't gotten in on this one. The 3 Cs tend to do things together. California, Colorado, and Connecticut. They all seem to be buddy-buddy with each other, and when one does
New York's
something, the
talking
others
about it
follow.
too. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm surprised Connecticut's not there, but it's no surprise that New York is there.
No.
So rewind just a little bit. These are age verification laws that are essentially going into effect at the operating system level. But, I mean, as far as these laws go, this is probably the least terrible one that you could do while also not having a huge amount of technical knowledge to know how terrible this is in the first place. Okay. But so having that background, what these things are talking about, because if you look around the internet right here, right now, you're going to see a whole lot of heads exploding about how this is going to be implemented and how they could be using our face and how in the world am I going to get my ID. It doesn't do any of that. The great thing, again, out of a bad situation, the great thing about these laws is that they're not that invasive. So if they go into effect, which they are not at the time of this recording, both California and Colorado's laws, if they were to go into effect, all you do during the installation of your operating system or the first time setup, this is Windows, Mac, Linux, anything, your phone, Android, iOS, all of them, everything, you are going to be choosing for yourself or for the person you're setting it up for, and that part is key, an age grouping. It looks to be under 13, 13 to 16, 16 to 18, or 18 and above. And that's it. That is the only thing that you are presenting to. Essentially, what you're doing is this operating system is going to offer this range up to the app stores or any program on the machine that asks for it, right? And so the law is really targeting the software developers that are asking for this, or actually by not asking for this, right? So the law makes it illegal to not ask for this if your content falls within one of the upper ranges of that age. So I wanted to get that out there at the very beginning because there seems to be a whole lot of misinformation about what the heck these laws are actually doing. And it's, again, bad situation, but it could be so much worse.
It could be, but I do want to say I think it's a bit of a misnomer. Verification is not exactly what's happening here. It's more like attestation. Like I'm saying or someone is saying that I am in this age group. There is no verification going on. And so because of the term verification, I think that's some of the reasoning why people's heads are exploding. Because that would require more personally identifiable information to be exchanged in order to actually verify some of that stuff. And that was more in line with what Discord was trying to do for their platform, right?
Right. And I was just going to abstain, right? Like I just was not going to. You're not if for some reason, spending some dollars at the Discord store wasn't enough to verify that I was of age or whatever, then I was just going to be a teen forever.
Just not,
I would not. Yeah, absolutely not.
Yeah, because the whole thing is if you didn't do it, it was just going to default you into safe mode, if you will, and you were going to get the teen experience.
Yep, fine with me. Linux user space is a teen experience.
For everything I'm joined to, it really would not matter at all.
Yeah, exactly. But the reason that we're bringing this up...
Hear me out. I could also be okay with that in some regard if that's the way it went with some of these other services and operating systems, perhaps, is if I didn't answer, I just got defaulted into a younger age group, perhaps. Although, depending on what one I landed in, it might be a little annoying.
Yeah. It'd be funny if like you landed in the like under 10, and then so it gave you like the
Yeah.
YouTube Kids version of the internet where
Yeah.
like everything is bright colors and bouncy lights and making real bad habits for you.
To, Reddit is a no-no, probably, right? Yeah.
Oh, it
stuff
would
like
be
that.
a big no. Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty much
Yeah.
any forum at all. You would
Yeah,
not be able.
yeah.
You couldn't go to Stack
It would be-
Overflow. Look at the language over there.
Yeah, it'd be limiting for sure. But I don't know. It's just I'm really torn here. I don't know. Hear me out though. It might actually doing it that way might actually supersede the thing that Discord's trying to do. They might not need to do that if we did it here. And that's sort of the point you had with the way Apple handled some of that stuff and Google. So that you can do it at the upper level and it just kind of umbrellas all over all of it, and you don't have to worry about, each individual thing, because that's going to get annoying if we have to do it for absolutely everything, kind of like the cookie banner nonsense that shows up on every web page. Yeah, I know you have cookies. Everybody has cookies. Yeah, thanks for letting me know.
That's the thing about all of this, though, is that so this particular thing, and by the way, the reason that we're talking about this is because Linux has a store, which means that, well, most Linuxes have a store. They have a distribution method. The
Several
repository
stores.
counts.
Yeah.
Your repository counts. And the reason we're talking about this is because it does center around Linux. But the thing that is really silly to me is that browsers, at least at the time that we're recording this, are functionally exempt from these laws.
Yeah.
So what are we going to do about that? So you're still in the same boat of, if you go to an adult-themed site, you have to choose, are you 18 or are you not? But if you think about it, that's exactly what these restrictions are. That's what these laws are pushing for. If you are an astute person, you know that if for some reason you're in the 13 to 16 bucket or whatever, you're smart enough to know that you can just hit the refresh Windows button, reinstall Windows, and then just answer the question again when no one's looking. And same with Linux, and same with Mac OS. So, if this is why I say it's the least bad option, right? Because kids are going to be kids. They're going to do the thing. They're going to do the thing that you don't want them to do when you're not looking, right? So, I mean, this is essentially the same thing we've been doing for forever, but at the OS level.
Bad stuff can happen. I get it. And the social media thing is probably it's pretty bad because kids get wrapped up into it, and they think some of it's real. Manipulation happens. I don't think this is going to solve any of that, right?
No.
It's certainly, I remember when I was a child, it was a while ago, I guess, but
wow, how big were the dinosaurs, Dan?
Yeah, exactly. But to some extent, it was encouraged to go figure some of these things out on your own. You were left to your own devices, and you might have accidentally went down the wrong turn and did the wrong thing, but that was part of the learning experience. And I know there's worse stuff that the children are getting exposed to, but I think you just have to learn more about not the mistakes you can make, but how do you react and recover from some of those things. And you have to learn that before you can, set up the shield that is impenetrable, because it is impossible. So that's where I'm at on the whole legislation thing. It's really not going to amount to a whole lot because we can't really control it technically the way they want us to, perhaps, or at least the intent of it. This is just, it's sort of like pencil whipping this to say we did something.
Right. Well, that is kind of California's and Colorado's law is that,
Yeah.
you put people in these different categories or whatever, and as long as you check the category, you've basically satisfied the letter of the law. But New York's, though, is a lot more cumbersome. New York's, though, is a whole lot more like what Discord was trying to implement.
Right.
I mean, if it is an internet-connected device that has an app ecosystem, you must prove you're an adult. So this is not attestation.
That is
this
verification.
is verification. And, but this is, again, just kind of throwing the problem at technical people and hoping they come out with a good solution, right? Like, it is, and it never really works very well, right? Because one of the conversations on the, it was the free desktop forum about implementing this or not implementing this or whatever.
There was a merge proposal, actually.
Right.
To
put it up way up there.
Yeah. In the free desktop. So basically they were going to make it a debus, signal, if you will, that, so that's pretty fundamental in overall scheme of the operating system. It's kind of like way down low. And so that actually got closed because, they didn't feel that was the right place to apply this. And that kind of makes sense when you think about it. The operating system itself is not the place where the exposure is happening. That's more about the internet connecting parts that you were referring to. And that doesn't happen until you get online.
Right. And there was a whole lot of quibbling about like the way to implement this and the fact that you could easily overwrite this, right? But this is technical brain getting into it, right? Like the law never said to do that. It's just that like the problem's not fixed. Like the problem that the law is trying to solve is not fixed unless you do this. But that's just not how the law is written. So I think there's a whole lot of like you're not even solving the same problem, the political problem and the technical problem.
Right. So the people that were cognizant of that, if you will, that's why they closed that, and they actually moved it over to the portals, which is more in tune of what the store, like that's what the stuff coming from the store uses. So that's it made more sense from not a technical standpoint, but from compliance standpoint.
Yeah. So I think there's going to be a lot of quibbling about where exactly and how exactly to implement this.
Yeah.
And that's going to happen in a lot of different places, and we're going to try and keep an eye on how this kind of continues on. But there's two other options, it turns out. So System 76, Carl Rochelle penned an on-age verification blog post that essentially talks about his history, how he grew up, and how he thinks that essentially kids today need to have the same kinds of... I mean, it kind of mirrored a lot of what you were talking about, Dan. I think y'all hold the same kind of viewpoint stance on.
We probably have a similar number of cycles around the sun, so that
probably
makes sense.
So. So Carl's idea is to essentially appeal to lawmakers and say, just don't do this. This is not liberty, and just don't. That would be the right choice. So that's one way to tackle this, and I think that's where it's going to have to be tackled. I mean, he's at least looking at the right people to solve this problem, right? If we just don't make this a problem at all, there's no problem to solve. Easy peasy, we're done. But
and I'll just point out though that real quick that System 76 they're based out of Colorado, so this is one of the states that's going through this.
It affects them directly and will happen quicklier to them. That's a word, right? Quicklier. To them than many of the other folks around the world. But you can also take the midnight BSD stance and just say, you know what? If you're in a state or a country or a district or a precinct or a whatever that implements any kind of age verification laws, that's banned. You can't use us.
Yep,
easy.
Just no.
So it looks like there are two easy ways to solve this problem.
One is easier than the other. Yeah.
Right? Just get rid of these bills and just don't do it. Or on the distro side, on the operating system side, just say, you know what, you're banned. If you do it, you're banned. How about that? How about that? Huh.
Yeah, so I mean, I guess there will be a lot of feedback probably that gets crafted from this segment, I'd imagine. But please do let us know what you think and send it along.
Yeah, I hope so, because I know there's not going to be a whole lot of people for this type of legislation, but I would really like to hear your arguments as to why you're against it.
And maybe the best way to implement it too, right? Yeah.
Yeah, that is really kind of what I'm after, because I've got some ideas, right? I mean, this is pretty close to the idea that I had, but
it's not far off.
That was assuming, that's assuming that these laws have to be in place, right? My choice would be to not have these laws at all, but
they may not, right? Because they aren't actually, they're just proposed legislation at this point.
Remember, if you're in the U.S., you remember Schoolhouse Rock and the little Bill sitting on the steps, and he's singing, "I'm just a bill," right? He's not a law yet.
Yep. Not yet.
We got to go through a process. We can still be vetoed. We can still be voted down. So I think that is another thing that a lot of people miss with hair on fire takes with all of this, is that we're not there yet. We don't, people are preparing for it, because if the bill gets passed,
then you'll have a certain amount of time to implement it and all that stuff. So yeah, it's probably good to be prepared and be thinking about it. But yeah.
Yeah. But unfortunately, this is just another one of those bolt-ons that we do as humans with technology and things. I mean, we did it with the internet, right? Like we're shooting data packets all over the entire world, downloading websites and stuff, and it all comes from this idea of a military network that needed to share information, and now we've expanded it into this entire massive network of internet-connected things, and now we have these security considerations that the original implementation
definitely not,
never even saw coming. But now we're having to bolt on security fixes and having to, I mean, if you look at companies like Cisco, like they're still trying to make sane defaults, because you're in this situation where you didn't ever expect anybody to not turn off the HTTP server on that is defaulted to on every single port on the router that you connect up to the internet. Who wouldn't go do that? Well, too many people.
Yeah, and it expose it out there too, because don't block that to the general internet or anything. It'll be just fine. It's easier to access that way.
Yeah, well, of course, right? Like, I just want my SNMP, from home on my phone. How about that?
Yeah, that way, I can make changes, in the off time.
Of course. That won't come back to bite me at all.
Never.
So catch these and other great topics as they unfold on Lemmy, the subreddit, or our news channel on Discord. All the places, right? Mastodon, Telegram, Matrix, Twitch, Twitter. We're gonna do the Twitch thing. I promise. It's coming. I say it every episode, man. It's coming, man. Soon. We can't do the KDE Linux thing without giving it the Cosmic Desktop treatment that we gave the Cosmic Desktop. So we definitely that's coming for sure, because the KDE Linux episode is definitely coming. Yeah, absolutely. So anyway, stay tuned on any and all of those places. The chatty places, like the chat-ish, like Discord or whatever, are the best places to keep your ear to the ground for what's happening on the day-to-day. But, we got the announcements all over the place. So wherever you follow us, you'll get those. And, stay in touch. Send us a message on one of those there places.
This was an interesting find that you got actually out on Mastodon. I somehow missed this one myself, but
how dare
very
you?
Cool. I don't know, but pretty neat stuff. And this I believe is something that Firefox should be highlighting. I don't know. This is maybe not the browser per se, but a really interesting factoid.
This is one of those things. Yeah, you said it. They need to have like an explainer in chief that goes into these types of technical things, because I think the last vestiges of Firefox's users tend to skew technical. And
for sure.
when I saw this post, I was like, who the heck is this guy? And it's Gabriele Svelto. He's a self-proclaimed Firefox hacker. I mean, I think he just works for Mozilla. And he works on Firefox, right? And
which is cool.
This is one of those things that is absolutely fantastic. And again, why has Mozilla not talked about this kind of thing, right? So the post goes, a few years ago, I designed a way to detect bit flips in Firefox crash reports. And last year, we deployed an actual memory tester that runs on user machines after the browser crashes. Today, I was looking at the data that comes out of these tests, and now I'm 100% positive that the heuristic is sound, and a lot of the crashes we see are from users with bad memory or similarly flaky hardware. So I'm going to stop there for just a sec, because what a terrible time to have bad memory.
Well, yeah, because you can't quite get that right now. Sorry, sir.
You can. You just got to pay 4 times as much as you normally would for it. Thanks, AI. I really appreciate
and maybe
you
even
on that one.
way longer than you would hope. Yeah,
definitely.
Months. Some orders are months away.
Yeah. So this is a gut thing that I have felt for a very long time, because as I saw, right? Do you remember? I mean, I'm just on this thing about nostalgia, but Dan, you remember browsers of yore, and they did not eat up 6 gigs of RAM because we literally did not have it. It was not available to you.
Yeah, and some browsers are a little heavier than others in the way they do things. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, they start up and they chew up a gig of memory, and then you open up another tab, and JavaScript, all the JavaScript and all the dynamic crap that happens on the page or whatever takes up another gig of memory, and then lo and behold, you open up another tab, and that takes up another gig of memory, and we have multi-gigs of memory in these systems these days, and the amount a bit stores is still a bit. So we just have gabajillions of bits
way
now.
More bits. Yeah.
And my gut says, when you have a bajillion bits, the odds of there being bad ones is a lot. I know that's not an actual measure of odds, but it's a lot, right?
It's a lot, yeah. And most consumer systems do not have any error checking at all in them. That doesn't really happen in a regular consumer system. They just, wing it. They just hope for the best. Yep.
Right. And
YOLO.
And even when you do have error correcting memory or whatever, the correction is not, let me go in here and surgically replace this bit with the correct one. No, the answer is to dump it and request it again, so the app doesn't crash. That's it. It's not fancy.
Yeah. That's
so this is just super duper interesting to me, because again, like I said, my gut believed that this would have been true, because you have too many bits for some of them to not eventually go bad. And this is now a test that essentially says, your gut was right this whole entire time. And so it is, yes, arguably a small subset of Firefox users, because as Mozilla is wont to do, you have to opt in, or at least not opt yourself out of this stuff, right? So in about a week, of about 500,000 crash reports, and remember, to be specific, this specific crash report is an opt-in system, right? You're not opting in.
It's still anonymous, even if you do opt in.
Right. And this is why I'd always send it. Send.
Yeah, turn it on.
Every single time.
Yeah.
Yep. So it looked like to be about 25,000 of the crashes had been detected as having a bit flip. Now, to be clear, not every one of the crashes that was a result of a bit flip would have been detected, because the way that the bit flipper checker works is it grabs a gig of memory, checks it really quickly. Did the checksum work at the end of the thing? And if it did, then
Right.
you're good. And if it didn't, there was a bit flip. And
Yeah, that's
you
not all
end
of
up
your RAM. Not all of it. No.
right. Yet even the MacBook Neo has 8 times that amount of RAM. So, still 1 in 8 that you would choose the correct gig.
I got a 32-bit machine over there that's got 4 gig in it. So there you go.
Right. So, okay. So still 1 in 4 though. And what this boils down to is that 10%, right around 10% of the crashes in Firefox are not a result of software bugs, but are caused by some type of hardware defect. Are they RAM related? Probably. Are they other hardware related? Possibly. But it all comes down to a bit flipped somewhere, and that caused your crash. And this is the thing that that I always wonder about, because I see it. I saw it on a comment on one of our videos today that, I don't use Firefox, it's unstable. I've never been in a situation where Firefox just randomly crashed on me more than like once a year. And
certainly
even
no more
then,
than other applications either for me.
Right. Exactly, right? So it was always odd to me that some people had way more crashes than others, and this very well could have been exactly why.
Yeah, they just had bad hardware.
Maybe you're just Mercury was in retrograde and Jupiter was beaming down just at the right way at the right time to close all 888 of your tabs. But more likely, you might have bad RAM.
Yeah, and I guess to the point a little bit is like you might not hit it until you get, all 880 of those loaded up, because the address range that you're hitting, it
Right.
obviously it increments. Like, I mean, it does it in a sequential order for the most part. Obviously, as things leave and come and go, it's filling it up. But I mean, it more or less does it sequentially. And so until you get all of the pressure on it, it's not hitting that upper level at all, and that's could very well be where your problems are.
Yep, absolutely. So I think, but this is exactly why it is just so absolutely interesting to me. But I will say on the sequential order of the RAM, you can actually in Linux using I think you have to patch it into the kernel. Maybe I don't remember exactly how to do this.
Memory scheduling stuff.
You can essentially mark chunks of memory as bad, and the kernel will just not use those registers.
Just skip over.
Yeah, and therefore, in Linux, you can actually fix this problem. If somehow you were able to whittle down the actual sections of your RAM that are bad, or at least the general range.
That sounds hard.
Of it is. But it's not terribly hard. All you would really need to do is run memtest86, and bingo, bango, bongo, which RAM is bad. And at that point, you can then relay that information to the kernel, tell the kernel not to use those sections of RAM, and you may, at least for a while, get around error-free. Hopefully,
until the rest of the stick
what is it,
dies.
Linux? And yeah, that was going to be the next point, which is once the stick starts to die, it makes me extremely suspect of the rest of the stick. And that was whole point of for a time.
Here, all this time, I've been telling people that Linux is great, but it cannot fix your hardware, and you just told me that it can. You proved me wrong, Leo.
Well, that's why you brought me onto the show, just so I can say Dan's wrong all the time.
Yeah. Well, that's great. I'm glad to be enlightened on that one. That's cool.
Well, technically, you're band-aiding the
Oh, yeah, you
symptom
are.
and not fixing the problem. So, but I'll take it. You know what? You said it. I'll take it. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I guess the only terrible thing is going to be those really because right, like, so even though it's more expensive to do so, if you find out that you have bad RAM, you just swap it out, right? Like if you can afford it at this moment. But this bodes really not good. Right. It bodes really not good for people with those Microsoft services or those ThinkPads, the super slim ones, the Yogas,
stuff
and
that's soldered
and the
on
MacBooks.
that you can't actually do anything about.
Yeah. So I would hope that eventually there's some kind of mechanism in there to detect bad RAM and mark it bad automatically. That would be pretty cool.
It'd be good from the hardware level, yeah.
Yep. Until that day comes, Firefox will continue to crash on bad RAM, as would any application, but Firefox has the data to prove it ain't me. So find the links to all of these, that post, and everything else at linuxuserspace.show. Specifically, if you are looking for links for this episode and not some other random episode that came up in your mind and you were like, oh yeah, they talked about that thing. I wonder how. You want to go to linuxuserspace.show/610. That is this one. And you can find all the links that we talked about, all the links that we're going to talk about. And so you can see the words that we stole from the web pages. So we could read them, on a black and white thing instead of having to click on reader mode or whatever.
Right.
But if you have comments about any of the things that we read or any of the ideas that we had about the things that we read, you can always send us messages over at contact@linuxuserspace.show or go to linuxuserspace.show/contact and, fill out the pseudo-anonymous little thingamajig and then hit the send button and we'll get that email in our inbox and then we'll talk about it like we will here in the next section.
So speaking of feedback, we've got a few of them actually this time that we've dug up, and we've got them from multiple sources, which is pretty neat. So
they're related.
They are all mostly related, yeah. The first one,
two are related, and the other two are related to each other.
Yeah, they're just not necessarily related to, Anyway, you get the idea. First one's from YouTube, and this is vimlena. I'm probably butchering that, but it looks pretty close. Says, yeah, WaterFox includes Firefox Sync, and it works fine the last time I checked. I'm pretty on the fence about Firefox these days. Have tried out Vivaldi, and it's pretty nice, but I still just don't want the entire web to run on Chromium WebKit, and that's fair. I think that's fair.
That's exactly my take, man. So I mean, I respect the heck out of WaterFox for being who it is, LibreWolf, all these other cool offshoots or whatever. And I'm glad to know that WaterFox does include Firefox Sync, which again is just feels very antithetical to WaterFox, but I get it.
A little bit. I will report back though, because I did test that after the last episode.
Yes.
And it does work. Like it synced my stuff, synced my extensions, and stuff like that. So it works as intended. So that was pretty neat.
Very cool.
The other thing we learned, which I don't remember where we learned it, but Firefox Sync can be self-hosted, and
that's right.
And so, like, you could have your own independent sync thing, not sync thing, but syncing service for your browser.
The syncing thing, not sync thing.
Right. You get what I'm saying. So you could have your own, and then you wouldn't have to worry about the antithesis that you're speaking of.
There we go.
By utilizing the Firefox service, you could have your own.
Yeah, someone said Garuda did this. Garuda had their own sync.
Yeah, that's right. I'd have to verify
right?
that, but that maybe they do, and that's kind of neat.
I'm gonna throw my hands up and say that's what I was told. But I do think that's true though.
Yeah, it sounds familiar. Yeah, because they had their own. There was Fire Dragon or something like that, right?
Oh, that makes so much sense. Of course, if you're running a Firefox fork, it would be. I mean, if you have the infrastructure to do so, it would be pretty advantageous to run a separate sync server. The question is, can you protect that sync server from attack better than a company that has a lot more money than you? I don't know. Maybe you can.
I don't know.
It's possible.
I may experiment with it just to say that I did, and I could probably spin that up here at home and still be able to get to it.
Yep. So, and I'm gonna assume this is Lena that is really into Vim. So Lena, I'd absolutely 1,000% agree with your take on Chromium. Having the whole web not run on Chromium, please, for all the love of all that is holy, please let that not be our future. It would be sad if we all ended up in this weird little monoculture of Chromium this and Chromium that. I mean, at least WebKit is different from Chromium, but I still agree on that front too, right? Orion is interesting to me because it's WebKit and not Chromium. Really, anything that's not Chromium is interesting to me. So the Servo project is interesting to me as well. And I don't know, like I use Firefox. I mean, they hurt me sometimes, but I still use Firefox specifically because the Gecko engine is important to me. So yeah, I'm definitely with you there.
And Squidiebah, from YouTube.
I love that name. That's a great
name. Has also been using Firefox for years, and in relation to the AI, bits and bobs that they were incorporating,
the toggle, the kill switch specifically.
Right. This will not make them move, and they just disabled all the AI stuff. So I think that's pretty great. And like you said, little cuts along the way, but it doesn't turn you away entirely from Firefox. You just you got to live through the pain a little bit, and everything works its way out.
The pain of one click, Dan. It's not that bad, but I think
now it's one click. Yeah,
true. Well, it was never not one click. To be clear, it was never not one click. It was people afraid that it would be more than not one click, and there were 600 million videos made about it.
What they didn't want was to be able to, to have to dive into about config and toggle a whole bunch of different things. It's a bit voodoo science of diving into registry edit stuff if you're over here in the Windows land. So I get it. It's not as convenient and it's not as easy to see as having a menu item. And I think we didn't really talk about this much. The way they handled the off switch is actually more than one off switch. Like you can turn the whole thing off, but then if there was one feature that you wanted to turn on afterwards, you could do that. So you can just turn the one thing back on if
that's the right way.
If that was what you wanted. So I think the way they've implemented it is pretty great.
Yep, absolutely. So, but I do think, Squidiebah, you're in good company. If I had to make a guess, I would imagine that most people are like you, and I'm like you, where I say it's painful. It's not painful. I just don't want it. And because of that, it's pretty easy for me to click the button and turn it off.
Yeah.
And I do.
Yeah.
And easy. And I think most people are not going to uproot their what amounts to an operating system, right? I mean, browsers are essentially at the level of operating system at this point. Yeah, you sync everything, you have everything, your life is in there essentially.
All the applications are all web-based for the most part. Not all of them, but many, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So changing that is uprooting a lot. But I imagine if you're fond of distro hopping on Linux, then browser hopping is not really any different. So it's easy for folks that have that type of mindset to say, well, fine, I'll just use WaterFox then.
Yeah.
I get it. And you're cool for doing so, but I had made a comment a little while ago about the Venn diagram of Mac OS users and people that listen to this show, and I said that ever so slight, just ever, and yeah, Chris is the guy. So he writes, "I'm that guy, the Mac OS user that regularly listens to your show." So the Venn diagram is not two separate circles. It's more like circles that touch at exactly one point without crossing. They form what is what the mathematically inclined would know as a tangent. So it's true. And it turns out, Chris, you're not the only one. I do use a little Mac OS, so I make two, and I guess I technically do listen to the show because I edit it, right? So I hear it
I guess so.
quite a few times.
But that's not entirely true either. There are two, and you'll hear it in the next one.
So this makes three. Alphacluster on Discord said, "Just listen to the episode, and I guess I'm one of your two Mac users." Well, we have to update that. It's 3 now. But also
quite the crowd.
I know. And it's getting bigger every day. Pretty soon we're going to find out there's 4. You wait. Next episode I'm going to have to say it. I'm going to have to update the number. It's 4. He goes on. But also, if you use the Kagi app on iOS, it will actually intercept one of the default search providers for iOS and make it go to Kagi instead. Now, this is a good one. Also, have you guys played with the Zen browser? Your tab discussion reminded me of one of the reasons I use it, which is it has a concept of temp tabs by default, and you actually need to move them above a line to persist across sessions reboot, like in Arc browser, which is really cool. Also, Orion on Mac has some really neat features, like if you do vertical tabs, they can also become hierarchical based on what opened the tab. Now, wait a minute. About the hierarchical thing, I don't think I use it enough.
That's pretty cool.
This is really fantastic.
I had no idea.
What is it with Orion and being like everything that I've wanted? Because
I don't know.
More than just, okay, so specifically when I go and do research for one of the history things, like I forget where I came from. I might have even accidentally closed that tab because it wasn't in some kind of like linked list. And because I did that, I lost all the history behind it to lead me to where I got to that page, which led to the next page, which would, if I were able to go back, I would be able to find even more about that one topic, but I lost all the history, and that was 7 tabs ago, I think, and so I'm like Control-Shift-T, trying to bring it back, and I'm like, it's just gone forever, and it's one of the most frustrating things I've had to go through when digging up information about this kind of thing. So it sounds like this is another feature that is going to save me from myself. But man, what?
I think the temp tab thing is pretty neat too, because there's lots of times where we open up a bunch of tabs and, maybe using them actually right here in the show. And I don't need it. Like, I mean, they can just go away. I don't need to reopen those or, whatever. They're just the poof gone, right? It's when your session's closed or whatever, it's out the door, and that's totally fine.
Yeah, my problem is that I never close the browser, ever. So have the idea of temp tabs is also a fantastic one because, as you mentioned, when we're doing stuff live or when we're just having a chat and I open up something or whatever, it is quite often that at the end of our session or at the end of whatever it is that I'm doing, I'm like, whoa, do I even need any of these 17 tabs? I don't think so. But the temp tab thing would just solve the problem. I wouldn't even have to ask the question. Yeah, because I come back later and they've already been gone. Oh, man. So, when I ask...
I think that's neat.
This is the stuff that I didn't know that I wanted. When I ask all the time about Firefox, right? Because there's always someone emailing the show talking about how Firefox is trash and how they're never coming back to it and they use Chromium now or some crazy thing. But they say that. I'm like, well, what feature is it then that would entice you back? Well, I don't need to be enticed back, but these are the features I want to see in Firefox.
They would help. Yeah, they would help.
Ooh, so much so. But again, this is what excites me to continue to dive down the Orion rabbit hole, that I will not have to have a little bit of something to keep you coming back, at least if you're interested in Orion or WebKit or any of this other stuff. That is something that is keeping me going, finding out these cool little things that I did not know I needed. Orion's pretty good, man. Pretty good.
Seems pretty good.
Firefox needs to copy off their homework, please.
At least some of it. Yeah. I mean, and I'll also chime in a little bit here. Someone else somewhere else, I don't remember exactly where now or who it was, suggested that, what about this browser? What about that browser? You didn't talk about this one. And I'm like,
that's right.
There's no shortage of choices to go look at. Like, I mean, there is not. And they've all got some sort of feature over the other one that makes them attractive. So, I mean, we'll probably work our way through a bunch, as one does. But I doubt we'll hit all of them. Never. Not going to happen.
Yeah. Oh, and I just realized I was talking about Orion browser, but the temp tab thing is Zen browser.
Yeah.
So Orion needs to copy Zen browser, and Zen browser is a Firefox offshoot. Yeah. So if I'm not mistaken, Zen browser is a Firefox offshoot, which means that Firefox could just suck this up.
I would imagine. Yeah.
Firefox, do this. Man,
here we go.
Yeah, absolutely. That needs to happen for sure.
All right, and the final one here is just a bit of a PSA that Dave WhamGeek notified us on Discord. Kagi has a pilot program to offer free search for public and academic libraries. At first, he says that the application button didn't work, but he reached out to them and they got back to him within an hour with the correct link. So we'll make sure to have the link.
Get your links right.
Yeah, I know.
Come on.
I think but we'll make sure to actually put the link in the show notes so that anybody that wants to, pitch this to their local library, please do, because I think it's a pretty neat thing. I think, getting access to some of those other features that are in the upper tiers that's kind of cool. I like it.
Yep. So even you don't even have to work at a school or at a library to do this. You can suggest it to your local librarian at the library.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
I think Dan and I have the luxury of having access to academic libraries, but I mean, obviously they would want to know about this too, but public libraries as well. And
absolutely
the key word there is free, in you can use Kagi all you want to on workstations there at the library for free. And that's fantastic. If we want to essentially chip away at it's a monopoly that Google has on search, and pretty soon Google will have on AI, this is absolutely one way that we can do that kind of thing. So if you just happen to need to go renew your library card or get a new one, that's fine. Get one for the first time, whatever. Then maybe suggest to your librarian that this is an option.
Yeah, hey, I heard about this great search thing.
Yeah, and I mean, if you want these things that are normally thousands and thousands of dollars a year to get access to or whatever, but you want them for free and you want to make this, and trust me, your librarian does want this kind of stuff to be able to offer to their patrons.
This is the sort of thing that fits right into most of those, I will say, because there's a lot of other services that you could probably take advantage of too if you go to your local library.
Absolutely. So if you haven't supported your local library lately, maybe do so and check out a book while you're there.
Yeah, physical one. All right, that brings us down to the next time. And the next time, well, I don't know, we'll have more topics, I'm sure, and some feedback.
Of
Hopefully,
course.
I bet, we've touched on a few things that will make people, write into the show and probably either yell at us or say, that's a good point. So please do let us know.
Probably the former more than the latter, but
yeah,
hey,
probably.
we're just fonts of let's just call it information.
yeah. And so please do let us know what you think. You can reach out in between shows, on the X, Twitter thing, Mastodon, Telegram, Matrix, Discord, whatever you got. Just give us some suggestions. We've also got a Reddit. You can go over there. Let us know. And all the links in the show notes will be in linuxuserspace.show. And as Leo pointed out earlier, this particular episode is linuxuserspace.show/610. So go over there, check them out. Anyway, where can we find you, Leo?
Oh, you can find me over on Mastodon at Leo Chavez at mastodon.social. You can also get me over at the Blue Sky at leochavez.org. Or, like I said before, just hop in the Discord or whatever and ping me. I think that's probably the easiest place.
Yep. I'll take the Discord thing, the pings from there too. You can find me there, or you can find me at KC2BZ at mastodon.social or monetary-abyss.social on the Blue Sky. That's where I'm at there. And you can find the show at Linux User Space at mastodon.social or at Linux User Space pretty much everywhere. That's where we're at.
Everywhere.
Anyway, come back in 2 weeks for more Linux User Space. Bye, y'all.
We'll see you later.
All right,
we did it.
I may have pushed the button just a tickle before you hit the record. You said the record thing, so you'll have to try to figure that out.
Nope, I watch your lips, your beautiful lips.
All right,
gotta line them up.
Yeah, I'm yeah.
I don't know if it's a good thing, but I spend an exorbitant amount of time looking at your lips.
That's fair. I mean, that's probably the best way to get the thing synced. I'm just saying.
I don't mean to make you feel self-conscious or nothing, but
no, that's fine.
I look at my lips too, if it's any consolation.
I'm sure.
But,
I'm sure.
That is it's a factoid about me that you may not have known.
You stare at my face. That's fine.
Not just your face, specifically your lips.
Okay.